Hello. So I have been an egg donor twice now, and I get a lot of questions from people who don't really understand the process, and a lot of women who are thinking about doing it themselves, but they don't really have a strong understanding of what the process entails. So I wrote down a list of 5 questions that I get asked pretty commonly whenever this sort of comes up in conversation. So I wrote those down and I'm going to answer them in the hopes that it might inspire other people to also become egg donors. So I'm not a doctor and I've done this process twice, but so what I'm telling you is just from my experience. Okay, so the most common question I get is, what does this process entail? And so before you donate your eggs, you have to find either an agency to go through or a fertility clinic to go through. So I went through an agency, and what that means is I went online and I filled out an application basically describing me, who I was, why I wanted to do this, any health problems that I had, and my agent got back to me and asked me to fill out the rest of the application as well as submit baby pictures of myself. So you put in baby pictures of yourself and childhood pictures, and the application is pretty extensive. You have to not only talk about yourself and your education and your life, personality traits about you, but they also want you to talk about your immediate and extended family, any health problems with them, their education, so the person who chooses you as a donor can really have a full grasp of who you are. After the application, it's a waiting process. You have to wait for a family or a woman to pick you as a donor. So that can take some people up to 3 months. I heard it could take a while, but luckily there was a match for me through my agent, so I was picked immediately and could really jumpstart the process and didn't have to wait too long. So after you're picked, you go into the fertility clinic and they do genetic testing on you. So they take your blood and test you for any hidden genetic disorders. And they also need to check your fertility, which means they do an intravaginal ultrasound and count the follicles on your ovaries. And so an unhealthy individual, you'll have anywhere from like around 17, I guess, on your ovaries. And so if everything looks fine and your hormone levels are great, they will wait until your next menstrual cycle to start giving you your medications. So when you donate eggs, they want you to produce around 15 to 20 eggs instead of just 1. So that means that you have to inject yourself with hormones so your body knows that, it really needs to overproduce eggs. So I had to give myself shots for 10 days, and the first 5 days, it was 2 shots a day. I had to give myself a shot in the morning and a shot at night, and they had to be very scheduled. So they had to fall between like 6 and 9 in the morning, and then 4 and 7 in the afternoon every single day. And then for the last 5 days before the egg retrieval, I had to give myself 3 shots a day. So I was just adding on a 3rd shot, and that went in between 6 and 9 in the morning with my first shot. So it was 2 shots in the morning, 1 shot in the afternoon. During this time, you have to go into the clinic and get your blood drawn every couple of days in the morning. So that kind of was a hassle because I was working and in school, so it was rough to be able to make all of those appointments. So then after the shots on the last day, you take what's called a trigger shot, and it gets your body ready to get your ovaries ready to release all the eggs. So when you go in for the egg retrieval, they can just take all the eggs right out. They'll all be ready and plump, and it'll be a super quick procedure. So for me, I went into my fertility clinic in the morning, And I was very fortunate because I know in a lot of egg retrievals, they don't put you under a light dose of general anesthesia, but me, I was able to be put under, so I was asleep the whole time. Put a needle through your vaginal wall to your ovaries, and they, in the syringe, they collect all the eggs. It's very quick. It's pretty much a painless recovery as I can remember. And so you wake up and that's that, and you can go home. So another question I get all the time is, how long does the process take? And from the beginning of filling out my application to the day of my egg retrieval, it took about 3 months. So I get a lot of people saying to me that they could never be an egg donor because they could never deal with giving themselves shots. But the shots, they're not bad. That's actually probably the most convenient part because you do them yourself, so you don't have to go into the clinic for anything. You can just wake up every morning, have your own schedule, and give yourself the shots. So this is what the shots look like. They're just little syringes, and you stick them in these little glass vials, and you draw out the hormone medication. And so the needles look like this. They are about, I think they're 1/2 inch long, and they're super, super skinny. And you inject it into your stomach fat. And the fat in your body doesn't have any feeling, so you only feel a tiny prick when you go through your skin, you know, when you prick it through your skin. But then other than that, you can't feel anything, anything at all. So it's actually not that bad. I also have a lot of people ask me if it's weird that somebody else is raising my kid. Genetically, that child that's produced from your eggs is, you know, genetically your kid, but honestly, it's not weird for me because I don't feel that those are my children. You know, I gave myself shots for 2 weeks. I went in and my eggs were retrieved, and that is the last that I've heard of those eggs. It's not like adoption when you know, grow the baby yourself and birth the baby and hand a child over to a couple. This is completely different because you really are giving them just, you know, tiny single cells that they are going to get pregnant and have their children themselves. So I get questions to how much did I get paid for this? So I can't say exactly how much I got paid for this, but generally when a woman donates her eggs, she does get compensated for her time and energy because it is a lot of time and energy put into this process. So generally in Washington State, which is where I live, the average amount a woman will get paid per donation cycle is $5,000. With the maximum being $10,000, and I know it is a state law that it cannot exceed $10,000 for an egg cycle. So anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000, they'll get paid. The last question I wrote down is one that I get mostly from my family members and really close friends, is they ask me if I ever get to meet the kid. And I think this is different for every situation just because when you donate eggs, so I donated my eggs, and before the donation happened, I had a lawyer who drew up some papers saying that I relinquished all rights to all the embryos that were created from my eggs. So I have no rights to whatever babies are born from this. Legally, I have the right to know the sex of the baby born and what month and what year he or she is born in. So that is all I get to know, but I know that there are a lot of situations where the recipient family and the donor, they do want to keep a relationship because it's a very personal thing you go through. So I think they do, in a lot of situations, they do want to keep a relationship, and either they're, you know, friends over some sort of social media, or they try to meet up every now and then, stay in contact. I'm not going to say my situation, but I know situations of both. It's kind of whatever the donor and the recipient feel comfortable with, because a lot of times They want no contact at all. You know, it's like, whoop, donated, don't, like, this is yours, you know, don't reach out to me, and that's that. And a lot of times it's more personal, and they want to keep in touch and know that everything's going well with the life they helped created. So it's all kind of what the donor wants and then what the recipient feels comfortable with. So I hope this video maybe answers some questions people have about the egg donation process and maybe sparks some people to look into it. It is a long process, but it is so rewarding, and I've done it twice, is how rewarding I think it is. So if you have any other questions for me, I will answer whatever I can answer, so leave those questions below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.